Rakdos has returned to the Corrupted Cup with Wyrdhunter number 2. Just got back to the town after cleaning up some of the final enemies in the first area, and we're going to load up on weird candles. We normally never have to buy them, but because we have Weird Freak in our deck and they're so cheap, you know, we have a lot of resources, there's no reason not to load up on them. That'll guarantee we can do a lot of burst damage if we get into a sticky situation. Next thing we grab is some passives. Unfortunately, Slow Thinker, not very good, especially for what we're going for here, which is playing as many multi-hitting attacks as possible. No reason not to take it though. I think you can decline in case the passive is like a detriment to your deck, but that really doesn't hinder us at all. We're gonna use the 100 gold removal. We're thinking about removing a block at this point since all of our attacks increase our armor by a huge amount. The blocks are getting less and less useful. Stun also is getting less and less useful. Still, situationally, there is a reason to play stun. There are some enemies that are attacking for 100, 200 damage in difficulty 18. So even for 2 energy, stunning an enemy can be good. I feel like stun is way worse in the lower difficulties than it is in the higher difficulties. Our last stop on our shopping spree, of course, to the Blacksmith. We see we have 2 cracked ethels, 2 cracked tiers. We're going to finish those off, upgrade them to level 2. Cracked calc as well, it seems. Normally we have enough money just to buy everything. Probably grabbing the polished gur for some extra damage. As I stated in the previous video, damage percent increase on the Wyrdhunter is very good. Their damage is so solid, even without increasing their base damage past 100%. So every little bit helps. We do a ton of rune combining. Already after area 1, we have 3 mythical rune stones. So we're thinking here, let's try for a level 2 mythic. What do we want? Gur is a good option. If we could get that last weapon socket unlocked and we could get Gur level 2, then for a single weapon socket, it can provide 150% increased damage at all times, so long as the other 2 sockets are filled, which they will be. We go ahead and throw the level 1 Gur in there. I think keeping Ing was something we were considering, but we're definitely about to gamble the other 2 away, trying to get more Gurs. So we know we don't need Thorn. We land on an ear. We don't have a ton of money left, so it's not like we can guarantee our level 2 here. We're going to hope to get lucky. I look over ear thinking to see, do I gamble this away? Does not seem like something we can really take advantage of. There's a small chance with the armor slot, I think, that we could use it, but... Oh no, wait, the weapon slot. If you end your turn with more than 4 cards in hand, gain an energy. Yeah. I think that would be okay, but... There we go. We re-roll it. And we do get a Gur rune, so now we know we only need 1 more to get the level 2, and we have enough money for 1 more reroll. So we have to land it. I think this is like, I don't know how many mythical runes there are, or if there's weighting to this. We don't end up landing it, unfortunately, but I would imagine that's at least a 10% chance. So we think about going double Gur, but the... Oh, we do, just for the damage. I think we're at full life right now, so we don't really need the lifesteal. And now we just have to debate on what to put in our armor, which it is going to be pretty obvious. Yeah, the cracked is so good. So good for the armor slots. Reducing the energy of the 5th card played in a turn by 1 in essence means that as long as you can play 4 cards in a turn, you guarantee that you can play 5 cards in a turn. And if you consider that most classes struggle with even playing more than 3 cards in a turn until they get a couple levels under their belt and pick up some 0 energy cards. So the power of going from being able to use 4 cards in a turn to 5 cards in a turn cannot be overstated. Our very first fight in Area 2 is a tough one. There are tougher fights in here, but these ethereal guys in the middle are very tough for the Wyrdhunter. Because they have all barrier in their first form, the Wyrdhunter pretty much cannot stack vulnerable on them, because when you hit barrier, it does not count as an actual hit on the unit. I find this out right now because I'm like, oh, I'm just going to nuke this guy down. He's clearly the primary threat. I think that's what I do. But nevertheless, it's very difficult to deal with these guys because the only form that you can apply vulnerable in is the form where they take reduced damage. So you really can't deal effective damage to them at any given point. Yeah, see, I even get the duplicate on that one, and still the damage was not enough. I expected to get the kill there and then guarantee kill him next turn at 1 life. 79 HP is still a lot. Okay, so now he's down to 60. Let's see if we can get him down. If we can get him down to at least like 30, I think he'll be pretty easy to kill in the next turn. Turns out we didn't need the blocks as much as we thought. Okay, he's at 60. And now that we've played the Berserk, we kind of want to take hits. We don't want to take a lot of damage per hit, but we want to take many small hits to boost up our damage in the next turn if we can't end it this turn. So when you're playing the Wyrdhunter, watch out for this center enemy. If you see fights with 2 of them, make sure your deck has a way to keep them stunned or quickly burst them down, deal with them in some way. Because taking these fights when you're not ready can definitely mean the death of your character. They hit very hard in some of their modes, and they keep switching back and forth, making them kind of hard to kill if you draw hands at the wrong time. There, I was not about to have it just randomly live through that turn, so I had to use one of my items. Later in the game, those throwing daggers become very powerful, actually. Once you have some meta upgrades, they become a pretty good item for just kind of clearing through the trash monsters in each area. Boost up our damage for our next hit. Take some hits, gain a little bit more damage. We redraw the Berserk, and we have a triple hit Weird Freak. This time, looking to play Mark of Blood on the enemy we won't be dealing damage to. So the heal back to full won't really matter. It's kind of just a free 100 armor reduction. We're going to switch our targets and murder our enemy on our right. Now we're still getting power for hits, so taking a couple damage there would not have been awful, but we can just save ourselves 15 life and get the kill on the subsequent turn, especially because he has such low armor now. The overhead swings, as you can see, are starting to really look pretty weak compared to cards as efficient as Mark of Blood. When I can just reduce armor by 100, that would take 10 casts of overhead swing. And then we get the option to grab Steel Eater, one of my favorite cards for this faction in general. But I do feel the Steel Eater is a little bit better on the Pathfinder and maybe even the Berserker than the Wyrdhunter. And we already have armor reduction kind of settled with Mark of Blood for the most part. And we have a passive that reduces armor when we deal damage. We still do have the overhead strikes if we need them. So we're going to grab Draw here because we just need to not get a handful of maneuvers. We need to have at least some attacks every turn. Getting the ability for our ultimate to cleave is pretty cool. But I think that after playing 5 cards in a turn, gain 100% damage and draw 1 card is the absolute best. Or sorry, that's 3 cards in a turn. Gain 100% damage and draw a card. 100% damage? Are you kidding me? And all I have to do is play 3 cards, and I get extra cards from that. Now that I have a couple 0 cost cards in my deck, now it's going to be very easy to continuously trigger that. And that's going to make our burst damage a lot higher. That plus the Rune, if we can get the Rune to level 2, our damage will be sufficient. As you can see, we're already starting with 200%. Gaining a little bit more from the Tainted Force. And we have 9 Weird Candles, so we use 1 to max out the Weird Freak. The difference between a 5-hit Weird Freak and a 2 or 3-hit Weird Freak is huge. Watch this, because this is going to be duplicated because of our passive. We could kill any of them here, even the ones with 75 armor. I think maybe we don't have enough damage to do that. Maybe I'm overestimating it, but I'm pretty confident it can kill the priestess on the right here. Yes. And the reason that that damage was so high is because every single hit started applying the vulnerable. So after 4 hits, the 5th hit dealt extra damage and applied another stack. So the final couple hits there were doing, you know, 200% increased damage plus my high damage percentage increase because that was the 3rd card that I played. You see our power's up to 350% increase. In the final attack here, because of our Rune allowing us to play the last card for free, I think should be Finishing Blow. Past me thinks it should be Overhead Strike to set up some more armor reduction. Past me was probably correct on this one. We gain our damage. Those multi-attacks from the enemy really helped us out. Now we start our turn with 325%. Keeping in mind that every turn we will be gaining an extra 100% for playing at least 3 cards. Now this is a turn where we don't get a lot of juicy attacks in our hand, so draw is a pretty good pickup here. We get the vulnerable. And we should play 1 more card. Now we get the damage increase from the broad reach and from the passive, making our ultimate deal so much damage. The incoming damage has been reduced pretty heavily now. I think we can handle it with just a block and a couple more attacks. We get the vulnerable stack set to 3. That's the ideal place for it to be before starting our turn. And we're going to have no hesitation throwing out the Mark of Blood because there's no way he's going to live to next turn. We have many 0 cost cards, so we can guarantee that we play at least 3. He's the only target for the small strikes, and small strikes alone eats him alive. We are coming online. This is what it looks like. We get 3 options here that don't jump out at us as being spectacular. Celestial Dagger, no, just none of those really fit what we're trying to do. Run into the Candlemaker. And here, it's really nice to actually grab the passive skill because we have Weird Freak. This means that while we're running around, we'll just have extra duration on all of our weird candles, which is going to help us sustain the maximum weird candle light that we're going to need for Weird Freak to be our main DPS for the whole run. Pretty subpar Tainted Force. I really don't like the ones that reduce enemy damage. Normally, in a run, you have to secure your own way to not take damage every fight on your own. And once you have that engine online, whatever form it takes, reducing the enemy's damage kind of isn't important. Especially on turn 1. Most of the time, turn 1, there's a common runestone that'll give you 75 armor on turn 1, you know, which makes you pretty dang safe. Fresh meat hasn't gained us too much life throughout this run. We could have been a little bit more greedy, but not an expert on the Wyrdhunter by any means. And the double ethereal kind of giant parasite monster. I really should learn their proper names. I'm going to dedicate some time to doing that, because their proper names are sweet. The phase shifter, yes, how cool. The phase shifter. Yeah, these dudes really make it hard on the Wyrdhunter. 2 of them. This is probably the hardest fight in the whole run for me right now. Thankfully, we got a little lucky with their intents. I think that we could be facing down a lot more power on turn 1 here. I think the enemy on the left debuffing us is pretty good too. Checking our deck, kind of just seeing if it's worth it to draw cards now with no energy. Realizing it's better to just get a tiny bit more damage in. At least damaging the barrier means that the enemy on the right will not gain any value out of its healing. Whatever their barrier amount is becomes their maximum life total when they switch forms. A very awesome concept for an enemy. Huge props. I love this game. Now we're facing a little bit of heat. Thankfully, not a lot of multi-attacks, so the flute would be phenomenal on this turn. Pretty much the flute by itself lets me go all-out aggression on this turn, and I did draw a lot of attacks. With Mark of Blood as well, I could maybe get a kill. I could easily kill the healer on the right. If I maybe Mark of Blood the guy on the left, I could probably kill him. Very tough turn. Let me know in the comments what you would do in this turn, because it seems like past me was also having trouble. Who am I Mark of Blooding? That's the big one. Who gets this Mark of Blood? And do I try to kill them, or do I Mark of Blood them, ignore them, and kill someone else? I think Mark of Blooding one of the phase shifters is smart, and killing the healer. I think that's what current me wants to do. Click the button. Oh, come on. Come on, click the button. No! Alright. Past me has a different plan, it seems. Well, let's see how this plays out. It's a bold move. Let's see how it pays off. Even more armor reduction on the enemy that is destined to die. That is the easiest to kill. Sorry, past me. I don't see it. What am I trying to do? Heavy? Am I trying to use that heavy cyclone? Ooh, I think that's what I'm setting up for. To just kill the enemy on the right all at once with heavy cyclone and deal damage to everyone else. Ooh. See, past me had his head in the game. It worked. Maybe I didn't need to go that hard on the armor reduction, but it paid off. Now I still have a pretty hefty hitting weird freak here. Probably want to land it on an enemy that already has a lot of vulnerable to maybe try to get double vulnerable stacks so that it persists. Hitting the phase shifter on the right with the weird freak seems pretty smart. Oh man, okay, we're tracking. Holy crap. That had to have surprised me in the past as well, because I did not expect that to kill. That was a lot of damage. See, Weird Freak is very strong. Oh, I popped a candle. I wasn't watching, that's why. I popped a candle and got it to max power. This is why we bought extra candles. We wasted a lot of potential light there, but we just need to end this fight here. We're not going to pop the vulnerable on this guy. We're going to let him stay at 3. Oh, we did. Oh, it took him... Oh. Okay. Maybe he was at 2 and my graphic was glitching out a little bit. If he was at 2, then it was very smart to hit him there to persist the vulnerable as it did. Finishing blow. Still not racking up any kills. Can't kill the phase shifter when he has barrier like this, so it seems like the enemy on the left needs to die. Or get stunned. But with this much ultimate charge, die seems a lot more likely. Overhead strikes, overhead swings, I mean, helping out. We check the damage. We're still pretty far off. We know we're going to need him vulnerable, even with this much ultimate charges. It's going to be a little tough to do. We're going to have to rely on small strikes. Getting a couple hits in from what it seems here. No, actually he's at 3 already. Yep, there he goes. And now that he's vulnerable and we've gotten the damage boost, we're going to gain some energy, because if we play one more card, then we get an energy reduction and we can play another card. That Rune just going off here, really shining. We're going to kill this guy so that the small strikes single targets the phase shifter. See, now that I know its name, it's the phase shifter. Are we going to take the 20 something damage here? Looks like it. Yep. See, even though we played this fight pretty well, I still took quite a bit of damage. Unless I didn't play this fight well. There's a pretty good chance that I didn't. Ooh, not a good draw here, unfortunately, for trying to ensure this guy dies. We gain a bunch of armor, at least, by hitting him, and we draw a Weird Freak, thankfully. The card that will definitely get the kill. Good game. More livers. The smoke bomb goes right into our weapon slot, or our combat slot, I mean. Check our runes, making sure this is exactly the setup we want. We took quite a bit of damage, so we're going to switch into the lifesteal rune, I think. The first hit every turn gives 10% lifesteal. We realize that the extra 50% damage we're gaining from one of the Gurs isn't as necessary as the lifesteal now. Once our life goes back up, we can switch back. And then still, I think that there's something with her that I'm not understanding. But we agree to her little challenge. Since our candlelight was full, we're going to get a pretty strong tainted force, and they're not immune to stun. That pretty much won us the fight right off the bat. We can Mark of Blood someone that we don't plan on attacking, and then focus our efforts somewhere else. Heavy Cyclone is also super good because the first attack we play is duplicated. Double Heavy Cyclone in the beginning is super, super strong. Drawing into Weird Freak with our increased damage, so someone dies here for sure. Yep. We kill the spider on the left. Spider. No, the worm. Are there even spiders in this game? I don't think so. I've been playing a lot of other stuff. getting a little bit of extra value out of the overhead swing for free. A little bit more armor reduction. Now that their armor is so low, well, they got a little bit of it back there, but they should be very squishy to our damage here. We should get 1, maybe even 2 more kills here. And getting it with finishing blow would be great, but engineering that could be a little hard. I think we try to use the broad reach, and I think we mess it up. Yeah, the ultimate is overkill, and finishing blow is not enough. We go with the overkill. And then try to see if attack plus finishing blow. Not enough. Broad reach plus finishing blow should do it, in my mind. But the damage does not get increased as much as I thought it would. I look at all my items, I'm like, dang it, 10 HP. It kills me inside. Sometimes the high roll, low roll aspect of this game is a little unpleasant feeling, but it's just something you got to get used to. It's just a different thing. Big heavy cyclone, finishing blow, hopefully can get the kill on the enemy on the left. Nope, not even close. Even with the vulnerable, not even close with the ultimate. We're taking some damage here. Oh no, we got the flute. Flute overpowered. Oh, and I'd pop a potion. I think I forgot about the lifesteal on the first hit. I'm just like, you know what? I just don't feel comfortable being at low life. Small strikes is super good here. Yeah, especially with Weird Freak. Fight is over. I can't believe that Weird Freak didn't kill. But thankfully it didn't, so that we can get the kill with fresh meat. Do a little bit of fluff damage here and trigger the vulnerable again. Double vulnerable fresh meat. 2 max HP. We gained 2 level ups there. That fight was really worth doing. And we see rapid attack, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Every one of those hits reducing armor compounds on the armor reduction from our passive. 6 hits is huge for stacking up our ultimate. And on top of all of that, the first attack I play is duplicated. So if I draw rapid attack in the opening hand, I can just start with 12 hits. Then they offer me another fresh meat, Last Resort, which I did consider for a moment. Last Resort could be the only block card I ever need. And then Chain Attack, which I didn't really like. We get our first mastery here. Whenever you use your ultimate ability with 10 or more charges, reduce the enemy armor by 100 till the end of combat. I already have armor reduction down. Ultimate ability consumes half the charges. Or whenever you kill an enemy with your ultimate, heal for 10% of your max HP. So I pick the retaining charges. I want to be able to use my ultimate at max charges every single turn. And if I can stack it all the way up to 20 and use it, and it only gets dropped down to 10, that means I only have to do 10 more hits to get it back up to 20. That's huge. Healing, we already kind of have healing set up, and I don't think that we necessarily needed any more armor reduction. And so the very next fight, we switch back to the rune that gives us some more damage, realizing that, all right, since we used the potion, we're in safety mode. Seeing if there's anything else we can optimize, really wanting there to be, but not finding anything. Walk right in the next fight. Great Tainted Force. Armor reduction, always welcome. Now we've already played 2 of the 3 cards we need to play to get our damage boost, so the Weird Freak will have its damage boosted. Weird Freak right now is hitting for 2, and I'm like, come on, it's right there. It's right on the cusp of that marker, but had to use the Blood Candle, boost it back up to full hits, and this will be duplicated. So with all the power that we have, and getting 100% increased damage when we cast the card, we kind of have like an automatic turn 1 kill on any enemy that we want, as long as they're not too heavily armored. We have the choice between duplicating that or rapid attack here. And rapid attack is just so delicious. It's impossible not to do that. So many hits, so much armor reduction on all of them. Now Weird Freak in itself just kills. My ultimate just kills. Oop, phone buzzed. Throw the phone. The phone has exited the area. Alright, so who are we killing with the Weird Freak? The enemy that can do the most damage to us. And that pumped up our ultimate even further to guarantee kill. 2 kills in the first turn, and now there's only 1 enemy to receive the small strikes. Almost killed all the enemies in turn 1. An item use or something like that would have guaranteed it. All these little blood crystals are not going to help this guy. We are just going to kill him with overhead swings and attacks. Or our ultimate, because now seeing how easy it is to retain these ultimate charges, we know that every time we use it, it's going to be for 16 to 18, guaranteed. Which is so much better than having to start back over. Tainted Altar, an awesome, awesome interaction once you get this thing finished. You always have enough livers for this. Gaining 2 ultimate charges at the start of the fight, I think that said. Or every turn, maybe. That's going to be really good. We couldn't exactly decide what we wanted to do there, or if we had already talked to the house. This fight is super, super easy, especially with the duplicate heavy cyclone. We have a pretty good tainted force for this fight as well. Just debating who we mark a blood. Probably the guy in the middle. Don't see a reason why we wouldn't. The 2 little rodents have low enough armor already. Maybe not. Past me is kind of crazy sometimes. Past me surprises me. But this time, he knows what's right. Now we can Weird Freak on top of that. Definitely killing the guy in the middle. That's it. Round 1 over. This is when we start getting really powerful. None of these card choices we need. Breath control, a little appealing, but I would rather have full control, no pun intended, over what cards we play each turn. So we skip. We get offered an armor increase, heal 25% of missing HP when you win, or duplicate the 6th attack. This was offered to us earlier, and we had to turn it down for something that we needed even more. But now that we have duplicate the 6th attack, our power explodes. We are able to play about 2.5 to 3 attacks every turn. So that means every other turn we get a duplicate. And with cards like Weird Freak, Heavy Cyclone, Rapid Attacks, all of these attacks are huge to duplicate. So not only do we get a duplicate right off the bat, but we get duplicates on subsequent turns. Here is a pretty tricky fight, not gonna lie. The enemy on the right is always obnoxious, and when accompanied by the enemies on the left, becomes even more annoying. We decide to mark for blood the little worm there. think we would probably... Oh, I see. The reason that we didn't mark for blood the enemy on the right is because if we happen to not kill him in this one round, he would heal back to full, and he starts the fight at half. His full HP is actually a pretty terrifying number, so we don't want to mess with that. We're going to be safe and just guarantee the armor reduction on the center guy. Our damage pretty dang high already on the Reaper. Maybe using broad reach plus our ultimate would guarantee it. Looking at the smoke bomb, realizing if we were going to do that, we probably should have done that to begin with. A little bit more armor reduction and an extra hit, triggering our fourth card used. Get a free attack. Free card play here. Really wanting to get the fresh meat off, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we know the guy on the right is dead. We just want to somehow kill him with something that's going to scale or gain a benefit. A lot of interesting plays here. We don't want to kill the other dudes before we kill the Reaper, because then a wisp will spawn. If any allies of the Reapers die while he's on the battlefield, they spawn a very annoying unkillable wisp that just beats the crap out of you. We know that the broad reach will make it happen. Now we decide to take a little bit of damage, gain some power. From here, we should easily be able to clean the fight up. No real need to pop a candle. Weird Freak only being 2 hits is totally fine. Small Strike and Weird Freak here probably set us up. Still being careful about the order. Past me. He's a careful dude. He don't play quick, he plays right. I mean, especially when we're trying to learn the classes, you know. I'll say it 100 times, I definitely don't know all there is to know, but I've played a lot of card games in my life, so adapting what I know to this game is a little easier than maybe for most. Yeah, that hit really hard. If Small Strikes is even a little favorable, yeah, that's exactly what I would have done, and it turns out I did it. Look at me go. Now we're gonna block, make sure we don't take any more unnecessary damage to this fight. Maybe set up broad reach for next turn. Or just try to split right now. We'll set up 534. We're really getting our damage increase up there. Play all of the free cards first. Unfortunately, the fight drug on long enough for us to generate another weird card, another Tainted Force, but it's okay. It's so weird because it actually says the word summon. I just now noticed that. I was watching the big grub get split and it said summon. So that would imply that these creatures are summoned. But specifically, cards like Fresh Meat say when you kill a non-summoned creature, then you gain a benefit. And I have watched my life increase after killing the smallest of little grubs from these guys with a Fresh Meat. Hopefully I do it in this fight, so that I'll have many videos documenting that it works like this. Maybe they shouldn't say the word summon. If it's not intended to interact like that. I mean, these little dudes are so easy. I really should be getting maximum HP off every one of these fights. Yeah. Right here. 170. Oh, I don't think I have the kill. Did I already play my free spell? Yeah. Darn. Oh, I didn't. It's probably still not enough. Yeah. There's a super slim chance of it killing, but... should probably do it anyway, just for damage, but... if I lowered his armor with an item, I could get this kill. But probably not worth it. Yep. Tried for it. Oh, fresh meat. Awesome. Watch my life. 172. These creatures specifically say that they are summoned. I didn't think that it said that before, but I just now was paying attention. I give this game a ton of props because little inconsistencies like that are few and far between as far as the mechanics go, so far that I've seen. There could be a lot of bugs that I haven't uncovered or that have already been fixed since I started playing the game. But from what I've seen, it's pretty consistent. Another card offering that we take down. That we turn down. That we take down. We absolutely obliterated those cards. I hope you were watching. Yep. We look in the hole, find a little bit of money, and move on. That's a forgotten chest fight, and I think that's one of the worst events in the game. I pretty much never take those, and it's a fight with a hooded Reaper dude. So we're just not going to mess with that altogether. We don't need that experience. Our experience gain is good enough to where we're going to hit level 20 guaranteed before the end of the third area. Pop up the light, making sure our weird freak hits super hard. Wishing we would have drawn one of those area of effect cards, but duplicating weird freak is just fine. Getting a guaranteed kill is just fine. We're debating if we kill the ogre in the middle or the pretty annoying shard creator guy over here. We choose him just because he's very annoying. I noticed that the rodent actually gained a lot of armor for me killing that dude. So I probably should have killed the rodent first, but it's kind of hard when your first attack is duplicated. Bam. Oh, wow. I thought that would kill. Oh, I didn't want it to kill so that I could gain life. Oh, past me. You scoundrel. You absolute rogue. Good move. Gain some stacks of vulnerable on them just to get it building for next turn. Debate on reducing their damage or throwing out the flute. No flute. Gonna take it to the face. We do have a duplicate. Thinking about probably using duplicate finishing blow. We're going to lower their armor before this. Oh, I see what we're doing. And then lowering his armor a ton. And we're going to try to kill both of them with the duplicate heavy cyclone. That's a lot of damage. Was not enough to kill either. My ultimate will definitely kill the one with the most HP. Yeah, okay. We win. Too proud to kill with the ultimate. We're going to kill with the weakest attack in our deck. Some common runestone rewards. We're going to fix our combat items. 4 of those books. That's going to be great. Now, we actually debate pretty heavily on whether or not we want a bouquet here, because I feel like the barrier bouquet could be super good on the Wyrdhunter. You've seen that, like, I'm taking a little bit of damage every fight. Just a tiny bit. So if on one turn I invested 1 energy into 40 barrier, that 40 barrier would probably last me the entire fight and would ensure I don't lose life, pretty much. But I don't take it because I already have the lifesteal rune, and I'm going to be doing so much damage. My damage is going to keep scaling that even 10% of my damage will heal me to full pretty regularly. So just HP is not something that I'm concerned about. As you can see, I've just been raw powering myself right off the bat every time, because even though now I have 4 armor, as soon as I start multi-attacking, my armor will be back to max. I love these treasure hoard fights because you really only have to kill the center enemy. So although that life pool looks pretty daunting, we can do a lot of burst damage, and we just happen to draw a weird freak. We're probably going to have to burn a candle here, waste a lot of light, but duplicating weird freak on the middle monster seems like we could get the kill. Yep, there's the torch, or the candle, sorry. And the weird freak. Maybe not kill, but do a ton. We're seeing if there's anything else that we can set up. Look at that. About 700 damage. And now that they're vulnerable so much, even our Tainted Force is enough to hit so hard. We can kill with just a finishing blow. Turn 1 finish of the treasure hoard fight without using the ultimate. We still have our ultimate. Look at that. No, we're gonna turn down 2 feints hard. I don't like that card. The other 2 are okay. A small blessing, probably the one that is the most appealing, considering we have a couple things that are 2 energy, but no real need. We don't want to clog up our deck with a bunch of stances or maneuvers. We really just want attacks that are powerful. Our attacks are our defense. Another passive skill, gain an energy after killing a vulnerable enemy. First attack type card played in combat costs 0, and enemies lose HP after stuns. We're definitely going to take the cost reduction on the first attack played each combat, because now not only is the first attack we play duplicated, it's also free, which leaves us so much extra energy to play more attacks on top of that. Unfortunately, we don't get a weapon slot upgrade here, and that's what we were really looking for to make our mythical runestones as powerful as possible. But it's okay. We take a combat slot. That's also going to make us pretty powerful. And walk into the tree monster, the tree monger, tree mofo. Mark of Blood is super good here on the primary boss, as returning him to full life really won't matter. It's just kind of a free 100 armor reduction. We debate for a moment because we don't want to be too hasty. We think that there's a possibility that we could use it on one of the hands, but it is best on the center boss here. As you can see, all of our attacks are free. Unfortunately, we have almost max light. Almost. We're so close. So we're missing out on one extra hit from the Weird Freak, which is pretty huge, but probably not worth using a candle here for that small of an increase. Besides, with our light at that level, we should be receiving a pretty steady supply of very powerful tainted forces. Blast him. From full HP all the way to dead. We had a double duplicate, so that was 12 attacks on that arm. Now we think about setting up damage for next turn. Plan next turn is to kill the other arm, and probably the boss in the same turn if we can finagle things. I think putting a little bit of vulnerable stacks on the enemy on the left-hand tree arm, is better than playing broad reach here. Oh, we have full energy still. We've already hit our free 5th card and we still haven't used any energy. It's so good. Yep, we get to the point where we can pretty much just play everything. And use our ultimate. Unfortunately, using the ultimate here is a little awkward, because it would make him vulnerable, and then he would lose that vulnerability. I would rather keep him at 3 and save my ultimate charges. Rather keep him at 3 stacks, yeah. Good call past me. Don't do it. Don't you? Nope. There you go. End the turn. You can never tell with past me. Sometimes he gets a little crazy. Now with 20 out of 20, that's a lot of damage, but we really don't want to use it now. We want to trigger the vulnerable first. So any attack, heavy cyclone seems okay, small strike seems okay, overhead swing seems okay. Just any attack to get the vulnerable triggered so that we can hit him really hard with that ultimate. Now let's check our damage. Much better. Still didn't kill. Rapid attack could put in some work here. We're really not in any danger as far as incoming damage. Yep, so we can keep setting up. We got our Quintessence proc. And that set up really good vulnerable stacks. That's like as ideal of a vulnerable stack spread as I could get, I think. 3/3 and double vulnerable on the left. Time to use these throwing knives. And we did that to do one more hit to take the 3 over into a ×2, as you see, so that the arm is still vulnerable. If we would not have used that throwing knife, the arm would not be glowing right now, and it would not be vulnerable. So the very first thing I do, I can just knock him out. The center boss, the one we need to kill, has been armor reduced so heavily, and it only has 101 effective HP. So Treeby is dead, my friends. To a basic attack, probably. Maybe even an item. Maybe even a throwing knife. Nope, it is a basic attack. And then his wisps live on. They try to carry on his legacy. I can just stun this one on the right. I kind of want to apply vulnerable to it so I don't lose the vulnerable stacks. Oh, and I can. Cool. I could just hit the guy on the left as well. Start vulnerable stacks on him. because it really doesn't do me much good to trigger this dude on the right's vulnerable here. Wow, past me. Even ahead of the game on that. Nah. Nope. That wasn't necessarily a misplay. It's just minor tiny efficiency. You see, now the guy on the right has no stacks at all. If I would have done things the other way, guy on the left would have 1 stack, and guy on the right would have none. But the fight's pretty easy from here, pretty trivial. We're going to finish it up. I think we do 1 fight after this boss, or run somewhere else, but I'm going to call it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. This Wyrdhunter series has already done phenomenal, and the huge spike in support has increased my motivation 100-fold. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, peace. Peace.